I'm Mishi. Yeah, I'm a security guy at Prezi. We are doing a lot of stuff. Basically, we are an agile company, so we have a lot of change every day. And I would like to just share, actually, my thoughts and my experience from the last 6 months, or maybe a bit more. I think this might be really useful. Actually, when I started, previously I was a penetration tester. And when I started to work at Prezi, it was really great that, for example, Etsy, Facebook, and Twitter, that their security teams are doing really great presentations about what they do. And it inspired us in greatly, so we are very thankful for that. I will talk about 3 main things. I would like to show you how we work, what is our environment, how we think about security, how can we integrate it into development. We'll talk about two projects we had where we tried to automate at least some stuff which can help us to make our product secure. And third, I will talk a lot about monitoring. How can we track our a lot of stuff in almost real time. And actually this presentation will be mainly focusing on application security. And let's just start it. I think it's important to know how we work, because when we started to think about what kind of stuff can we do, it was always important to actually do it in a way that fits into our cultural environment. And I will talk about a lot of technical environmental stuff, but I really think that cultural things are very, very, very important. And how we think about security. Actually, we try to think about it as just another feature in our product. So basically, if you have a critical security hole, then the whole company should jump on it and fix it. If you have an outage, the same applies. So there is no real difference between security features and other features. At least we hope that this kind of stuff can work. And basically you can do just the same things with security-related solutions like any other feature. You can write tests for it, you can monitor stuff, and since we are pretty agile and we are able to quickly deploy fixes, it's really great that actually if we find something, the whole process can be much quicker to actually fix the issue. A lot of people are surprised and actually I was very surprised when I first seen the Prezi infrastructure. We use a lot of cloud-based stuff, and we are trying to follow a full-stack development methodology. So basically, if you are creating a new microservice for a feature, and you want to get it into production, then actually a team will usually own it. And they will not only own the feature itself, but they will be responsible for the infrastructure, for monitoring, and actually for the tests and everything else. So if you think about security as a part of this whole process, then it's really great, because if you can achieve the point when it's really the part of the process, then you don't need to every day test stuff yourself. I mean, it doesn't scale if you have a security team and it does all the testing and nothing else changes. The most important thing is, I think, to actually reach a point when security can become a default thing and every developer thinks about it. So you will have less and less simple vulns. We have a pretty mixed environment due to this. So actually, you can use a lot of languages. We don't stick with one. You can use whatever you would like to. We have a lot of Django projects. We have Scala code and anything else. And from security, it can be hard. So if you want, for example, to check the source code, so basically you are doing source code reviews, then actually you will have to be able to understand a lot of languages. So it can be hard. Some numbers about the infrastructure. We have more than 200 private repositories. A lot of them are development stuff. A lot of them are stuff which never made to production, but actually there are a lot backend services which are in production and serving the front end. We have around 400 instances at Amazon, and actually maintaining such an infrastructure by hand, it's just simply impossible. So we use Chef to automate the whole infrastructure. And this is really great because from a security perspective, if you want to review the configuration of the machine, you just don't need to pull the configuration from everywhere. You can just check the repository where, for example, we store whole infrastructure configuration in one repository. You can just check it and see what kind of things usually we set up. And this is really helping security. Yeah, monitoring. We have a huge monitoring culture. This is really great that you go into the office and we have some dashboards, huge monitors. You see there actually how the backend services, how the front-end stuff is working. We really log a lot. And this is good because if somebody just gets back from lunch or something, then he can just check the graphs as he goes back to his desk. And if he notices something interesting, then he can just jump on it. Of course, we automate all this kind of stuff, but actually this can be really helpful for us as well. Because it happened last week. I think that we launched a Nikto scan against one of our services. And our plan was to launch Nikto, and when it finished, to check the monitoring and other alerts to see what kind of stuff can we actually automate and how to detect this stuff. And it was really funny because after 5 minutes, some of the guys of the affected service, which we tested, realized on their dashboard that the 401 responses went really up. And after a few more minutes, they just came to us and asked us if this is a valid traffic. So it was really cool that actually we didn't even have to set up other stuff. It is within the culture, so it's really cool. Yeah, we deploy a lot, like 20 a day. I think that's the average right now. So if you think about the whole continuous integration process, then your developers committing the whole day, tests will run, and if tests are okay, then you will deploy and monitor this stuff, and you do this round. And this is cool because actually security can be included in 2 points. You can put some tests to the testing part, and actually you can increase your monitoring for more security-specific stuff. So yeah, our main goal is to actually try to do stuff which integrate with our existing solutions, because this is what can work in longer term. Yeah, just a few words about the security team. This is pretty new. We just started in this semester. Right now we are 3, so it's getting better and better. It's no longer a one-man show. And yeah, actually our goal is to automate everything what we can and to reach a point where security is absolutely normal for everybody and everybody will think about it. Yeah, we will do the same stuff as we do right now, but to make it work in long term, we have to actually make sure that everybody cares about it. Yeah, we have a lot of ideas and stuff. And you might ask about how to integrate it. This might sound silly, but actually education and talking about stuff can work. And I think for me in Prezi, it was really great that actually everybody is open to stuff. They will listen to you and they will understand the issues. So this is really cool that if you find something really interesting, then you can just talk about it in 5 minutes on every Monday. We have a tech breakfast. And every engineer comes up with some stuff which he thinks is very interesting. And actually, we realized that security can be something like this. So if we find something in last week, we just go there and talk about it. And with this, actually, you have to work on it like half an hour after you found an issue to create just a presentation and demonstrate the possibilities. And you have to give 5 more minutes to just actually talk about it. But even only if one one developer will think about security and he will not introduce a new bug, then you already have won. Yeah, two projects which we started. One was to ease the code review. And actually we have, as I said, we have Django projects. And okay, I will go with the other one. Yeah, we really wanted to test for some stuff in an automated way. So we wanted to integrate the security test into Jenkins to actually run them there. And this solution, we call it Phantom Scanner because it's based on Phantom.js, which is basically a scriptable headless browser. And you can do a lot of stuff with it. I mean, it will render you the page, you can inject script, you can check if your script has run, and it's cool for us as well because you can use it actually to test for cross-site scripting wounds. And the main idea came from Etsy, but we tried to use it in a different way. So our plan was to actually create a tool for our developers where they can define a test case. Let's say that this is my function, these are the parameters you should test, and it will just try to find reflected and stored wounds as well. And it can handle a lot of situations. And actually, you might ask why to do this. I mean, there are a lot of cross-site scripting testing tools. And for us, the most important part was to integrate it well with our environment and make something which might be useful for developers. So not to reach a point where the security team has to write all the tests, because it's in this space, it's even hard to actually track what kind of changes we make. Actually, for me, it's hard, but I will talk about it later. So we wanted something which can work in our environment automatically. And actually, our testing phase will run on a pre-prod environment, but it will touch production data. And for us, it's not cool. So without any configuration, without being very, very, very careful, we really didn't want to start automated stuff, automated, not well-controlled stuff there. So we wanted to narrow the scope, and we wanted to create a tool for this. And actually, I think it was really, really cool, and it was awesome, but never made to a point where developers actually used it. Because first, I tried to create 10 test cases to see how useful actually this can be. And after, I don't know, like 5 or 6, I really felt that it's just dumb. I mean, if I think about it, like I would be a developer, I wrote my functions, I created a new feature. Why the hell would I just write one more test case which is describing exactly what I did previously, so which can be extracted from my code. And actually, you do a lot of unit tests and other stuff. So I felt that this might be too overwhelming. And yeah, we should solve actually, and we are trying to, yeah, we have some solutions to actually run very, very aggressive scans on our test case, and that's the way where we should go. But still, I think this was a very useful lesson. Actually, for me, it was, yeah, at first I felt that, usually I think that everything should be 100% perfect from the first time. And I really have to learn this, that sometimes you have to just start working on stuff, and you have to understand the problems and be easy on the whole thing and just drop what doesn't work. And yeah, we have our scripts. We will use it in other way, so it's cool. Yeah, the code monitoring and tracking the code changes can be hard, as I said. So we came up with a solution, a very easy one actually, to just simply track our GitHub account and collect our repositories and search for regular expressions. Because yeah, the problem for us was that Django is not well supported in static code analyzers. At least I didn't find a tool which would fit for us. So we wrote this very, very, very simple tool. Basically, what it does, it will run every, I don't know, like 11 minutes. It will refresh the list. Yeah, you cannot see it, sorry. Yeah, it will refresh the the repository list, it will fetch the changes, and actually it will check every commit if something has changed, and if there is something interesting. And actually what's important here, that we don't only check for patterns for known issues, because you can write stuff for that, but we included some very basic regular expressions to only catch like new URL endpoints coming up, using a new get variable, using a new post variable, calling a function which does something with SHA or MD5. These are the stuff which might be interesting for us. So we receive a lot of false positive, or at least more informational messages every day. But actually, this is really cool because at least you have an idea what's happening around you. And this is the most important. At least for me, it was very helpful that I received these emails, and I was able to think about possibilities that, okay, we have this feature, maybe I should check it manually. You will check it manually, you will find something within it. You will realize that, I would be able to catch this kind of issue with this expression. And you expand your patterns, and you do this again and again. So it's really cool and very simple. The same can be done with Fabricator. It's a really cool open source tool from Facebook. And why we love it? Because some of our teams are using Fabricator right now. So they review each other's code. And it would be just simply awesome if we can jump in from security part as well. In Fabricator, you can create rules like I already mentioned. You can even write more detailed ones. You have a nice web interface. It will alert you if you find something, if it finds something. But we still have both of them. So we have the Fabricator, and we have this repo guard, because since not every team is using Fabricator, we would like to see what other stuff are happening in other repositories as well. Yeah, I can just quickly show you an issue. So I received an alert that I will just find a new endpoint came up. It's an API for some user event, and in these cases, usually you should protect these API endpoints. And in this commit, it just gets the user ID and it will answer, and that's bad. Usually we protect this kind of stuff with HMAC authentication, and it's very easy to actually check this stuff. You can just write a comment on it, raise a concern on the whole commit, and due to the fact that we are pretty agile, the fix can be out within minutes, or sometimes it takes some hours. But the most important thing is that actually it will be out. For example, in this case, this change never made to production. So it's really cool to automate this kind of stuff, and I can't really think about other ways to do it. Yeah, monitoring. So we really wanted to start seeing more stuff from a security point of view, because as I said, we really see a lot of things by default, and that's great. But we wanted to just play around and see what else can we do. So we wanted to try out Suricata, and I really love it. It's very easy to extend. You can just simply set it up. It can send all kind of log messages everywhere. But the problem is that on EC2, actually, it's not that easy to have a spam port where you can just monitor the whole traffic. So if you have 400 machines running on an Amazon infrastructure, then you will have to install Suricata on every machine or on main points. So yeah, we started to deploy it to our app servers. It is not a 100% solution, but it can see what's happening on the app servers. And yeah, we really do centralized logging and log correlation and other stuff usually. Yeah, I don't know how many of you ever read or wrote something in a report where you say that, yeah, you should do centralized logging. Actually, this center sounds very, very easy to implement, but actually doing it can be hard if you want to do it in a way that's actually useful. So I really wanted to have more details about the Suricata events. Suricata is something like Snort, basically. It's a network intrusion detection system. Yeah, maybe I should have started with that. And yeah, it can log what kind of event happened, and actually it can just put there a TCP dump as well. But that's not working if you try to do it in a centralized way. So I came up with something like this. You have Suricata, you send it to Barnyard, which actually can send it to MySQL, and it can send syslog messages as well. And you can actually configure Barnyard to include the packet details as well, actually the whole packet, for example, in ASCII, or something like that. It's useful for web services. Yeah, it's not useful for anything else, but still, we can store this kind of data. So we send it to a syslog server, and that will send it to OSSIM, which is actually an open source CM solution. I really wanted to try it out. I think it's a great tool. For us, it didn't work really well. I had some issues with an outdated version, and actually upgrading it just broke the whole stuff. And it's still the same that you have one package where stuff will work, and you send there everything, but actually you cannot really fine-tune it, or at least sometimes it's much easier to implement some other solutions, like I will show in a few minutes. Yeah, and another issue for us was that usually we have Ubuntu systems, and this is a Debian-based appliance, and to manage it with Chef, it doesn't really fit well. So you have to work a lot to make it work, or at least, yeah, this applies to our environment. So maybe it will work for you. Try it out. This is really a cool solution. But we went to another direction. Actually, we had a development, and we are right now changing the whole infrastructure. So we are moving to more service-oriented architecture. We will have a lot of, and actually right now we have a lot of microservices in the background. And there is an additional layer. It's called Smart Router, because it's doing some smart stuff. And basically, the user requests go through Smart Router. It will decide to where should it send, what else should it do with it. It helps us to debug issues, but from a security perspective, this is really cool because you have one point where you can log, monitor, actually track stuff in more detail. You can even block stuff. So you can implement security logic at one main entry point, and that's cool. But actually handling 4,000 or 5,000 requests every second can be very hard, because we really wanted to have a solution where we can see something like an access log, but in real time for all of our backends. And yeah, it can suck if you want to do it. So I learned a few lessons during this. Like handling this data is hard, and actually building secure systems can be hard. We use Elasticsearch to index our stuff, and yeah. And the plan was to actually, we have a centralized logging. We send there everything, and we wanted to move this data, or at least one part, to an Elasticsearch cluster, and have a web interface where you can just simply search for stuff in real time. But for example, yeah, you have to care about sending data not in encrypted channels and something like this, some other stuff like this, but these are very simple to solve. But actually, if you want to put authentication behind Elasticsearch, you have some plugins for it, but we really wanted to integrate it well to our environment. We have a SSO solution, which is basically a Perl module for Apache, and it's just checking signed cookies. So it's very simple. You can just bring it up anywhere. So the plan was to put the whole thing behind this. So we will have Kibana. Kibana is a web interface for Elasticsearch. And actually, Kibana will work in a way that it's just an HTML JavaScript application. So Kibana will work in a way that you send a request to it to do something. You will receive the response HTML, and actually your browser will connect to Elasticsearch cluster. And yeah, that sounds a bit weird. But if you are able to put it behind authentication and it's on HTTPS, then you can be fine. But the problem is that yeah, or Godot is working in a way that it will always check the session cookie, signed cookie. And if your browser receives the response from Kibana, it will send a pre-flight request to the Elasticsearch cluster to see if he is allowed to communicate to it. And it will send an options request, actually. And in cases of options requests, the browser will never include the cookie. So we came up with a solution, which is very, very simple. So here are you are sending a request to Kibana. Kibana is checking with Godot that you are authenticated. If you are, then you receive the response. Your browser will send a pre-flight request to the Elasticsearch cluster. On Elasticsearch, we have Nginx. Nginx will check if the method is options or not. If it's options, it will respond with a static response. If it's not, then it will go to the locally running Apache. It will check your cookies. And if you are authenticated, you will go to the local Elasticsearch. So yeah, I always felt that I was previously doing penetration tests, and then sometimes I felt that, yeah, recommending stuff is very easy. But actually solving it can be very hard. And then I think this is a lesson what was very cool for me. So I am really happy to actually solve it and do it. Yeah, so how does this look like in our case? So for example, we have it here. We send everything, every suricata message, every access log-like message from smart router to Elasticsearch. Sorry for the resolution, but yeah. Basically, you just see here the different events which were triggered. And what's really cool that Logstash, the collector for the logs, actually is very, very, very nice to use. You can define patterns for your log messages, and actually this whole stuff will go into Elasticsearch in a well-indexed way. So if you say that in this log, this field, this part is the IP address, in the other type of log, that's the IP address, and then actually with Kibana and with this interface, it's very easy to correlate stuff. So if you see an event from Suricata which might be interesting, then you can just go to the smart router access logs, where you can see what kind of request did it send, that actually that user sent. And yeah, we worked hard on improving the capabilities of the smart router security part. So for example, Robbie, one of my colleagues, worked really hard to achieve a point where we can just simply say that let's track this IP address or this user. Right now, mainly IP address. So let's track this IP address in more detail. And all our smart router nodes will just simply understand that they should work differently if the sender is that IP, and they will put down like post data as well and other stuff. So it's really cool to debug stuff, but actually we use it if we see some weird traffic which might be a successful or almost successful traffic or attack. Yeah, and we played a lot with the content security policy. It's really nice if you don't have a front end. So for backends, it's easy because most of our backends will send JSON responses there. You never should actually execute JavaScript code or anything else. But in case of front end, where you have a lot of inline scripts and others, it can be very hard. But I really don't. So my main point is that we found some. So we tried it out on our front end part as well for a few users. And actually, if you say that it should be report-only mode, so it would not block the stuff which is not okay with your defined content security policy. It will not block. It will send you a report. We have it in the same Elasticsearch indexing stuff, so it's easy to have everything in one place. But what's more important, that actually report-only mode, yeah, you should be careful, because if you set a sandbox parameter to it as well, then it will, not every browser will follow it. Actually, some will block some forms. So we had our first outage, which was caused by us, the security team. So it was very, very useful lesson. How we try to improve this monitoring. And actually, this is something very similar, which Zain already said that they are doing in a more wide environment. We only try to do it right now with monitoring and with code reviews, and for only the application part. So basically, we are doing this. We had Hack Week, for example, when we started at script kiddie level. We launched a lot of automated stuff. Maybe it will find issues, but that's not the point. Yeah, that's cool if it finds and you are able to fix it, but we are not doing this to actually find stuff with automated stuff. We try to understand what kind of log messages we have, where can we improve our monitoring, how could I detect an attack if it's going on. And after improving it, you can just simply do it again and choose another threat agent with other capabilities, like more targeted attacks. How can you notice if somebody is just sending a lot of requests and trying out different IDs? So you can have really cool signals if you think about how your application actually works and what's valid traffic and what's not. Oh, yeah, I'm really quick, sorry. So what's, so these stuff were very specific to us, but I think a lot of stuff can work on other cases, and actually I think that I hope that these can inspire others to do something similar or actually improve it in a way. It's really good to have feedback about these things. So I think this is, yeah, sometimes I feel that what we are doing right now is like you are on a very thin ice and you try out something, it doesn't work, you go further and further, and that's just fine. So you just have to do it. And actually, if you try to really integrate security to the environment and to the cultural thing, then I hope and I believe that security and development can be friends. So there is no need to argue about issues and others. It's more a cultural thing. Yeah, I think I have one more thing to announce. From next week, actually on Monday, we will launch a bug bounty program. We were preparing for this for a while. So if anybody feels that he really wants to try his penetration testing skills on application level, then we are really open to every issue. We know that we are actually, yeah, we are human. So we know that we make mistakes, and we are very happy and we are very open to the reports that you guys can send us. It will start on Monday, so please give us this weekend so we can rest a while before you send stuff. But yeah, if you want, you can just simply, I don't know, like passively collect data and see, collect IDs, what can you do from Monday evening. And I think we have a lot of time, so if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Have you ever hacked?
Yeah, we had security issues, but I think it was fixed very quickly. And it was, I was not there. So it was previous, it's a long story, it's a previous story, but actually I know about stuff which happened. But the reaction, based on the stories, it was very quick. So we reacted very quickly without even a security team. Yeah, okay, but actually you can describe what you mean under hacked. So no, not all our user data was stolen. It was not a big issue, actually. But at least we know it. Any other?
Can you tell more about your hack view?
Yeah, we are just trying this stuff out. Actually, it was like we launched Nikto and other web application-based scanners, and after each test, we sat down and checked our logs, checked our monitoring scripts. We wrote down some IDs. How can we how can we alert on this? We tried to decide if this is something which is very unique and you won't see it in your traffic if it's not really an attack and if it's not a successful attack, because we really don't want to wake up every night 10 times. So we try to well define what kind of stuff can we detect in a way that it's reasonable and it's working. Yep. Yep. Not me. I've heard stories that Prezi used Splunk for a lot of stuff. Yeah, we decided to go with our own solution. Actually, we have a Hadoop cluster. So Elasticsearch is just something the security team is playing with right now. We have a Hadoop cluster where we can access every data in a more long term. Just you cannot get data in real time from there if you really want to analyze it. So if you want to receive daily reports or you want to receive weekly stuff, then you can use Hadoop. If you just received an alert that something is happening and you are interested in more in details and you really want to be an active part of an incident or even a possible incident, then we go with Elasticsearch based stuff. I'm not a data guy, so I'm not sure how our Hadoop cluster will work. Yeah, he knows the answer.
I can answer that we use Amazon Elastic Metri use.
Okay. Yep. Thanks. Yeah, and he's working for Prezi, so okay. Okay, so I think that's it. Sorry, it was very quick. Thanks for your time.